All right, so you're ready to record your first podcast. Do you have a microphone? Who's going to distribute for you? Do you have a studio? What about the editing? All right, everyone relax because I think I have the answer. Anchor app. Yeah, Anchor. It's free. They distribute Spotify, Apple, many more. There's creation tools that allow you to edit and create your podcast from your phone, your laptop, or your personal computer. And the best thing of all, girl, you can make money no matter how many listeners you have. So the answer is simple. Get Anchor. Anchor FM app. Go find it now. Tell them a seat at the table sent you. Topping from the bottom, now we here. Say what now? Topping from the bottom, now the whole team's here. We topping from the bottom, now we here. Topping from the bottom, now the whole team's fucking here. Yeah. More to come on Topping from the Bottom later. Welcome to an all-new episode of A Seat at the Table podcast. I am tired, but I am your host with the most of all things because, well, I do the most. But at any rate, I'm Gail, your hostess with the mostest. You can find us on Instagram, A Seat at the Table Pod, all one big long ass word. You can also find us on Twitter. Find us. Well, you can find me on Twitter, child. That is at Galanda Adams, for those of you who don't know. But yes, I am not going to hold you up with a bunch of crazy because we just got to get right into it. Honey, oh, so many things. Well, first and foremost, thank you guys for tuning in. And first of all, shout out to all of you guys who take time out of your busy schedules to listen to this shitty show. I want to send a special shout out to my listeners in Denmark, in the Jutland area. Okay, what is up? Denmark, big up yourself every time. And definite shout out to the UK listeners, everybody in Philly, everybody in Cali, and everybody in New York, and everyone in Virginia and Georgia. Thank you guys for tuning in this week. Oh, we've got so much to discuss, honey. I don't even know where we're going to start. Okay, how are you? How you doing? How's your penis doing? Okay, that's great. Have you gotten the ointment yet? Okay, that's also great. I myself have been, you know what, this week has been quite the little roller coaster ride for me. I actually lost someone near and dear to myself and my family. So rest in peace to Charmaine. We love you and we will always be thinking of you and we'll always miss you. I think the thing that always strikes me about death, especially when it is someone that's close to you, is there is a weirdness that exists, at least for me, in the standpoint of it feels weird to see everyone else go on with their life. Like, life just continues. The day doesn't look any different than it did the day before. It doesn't look any different the day after, except for you. You know what I mean? And it sounds weird, but I don't know. Death is always something that has... It's hard for me to deal with and it's hard for me to cope with, but I'm sure it's hard for you guys too. Yeah, that's been going on, which sent me a little bit on a tailspin this week, an emotional tailspin. Some other things happened this week. I actually got gonged this week. Do you guys remember the Gong Show? You might be too young to remember it, but it's no different than like an American Idol or America's Got Talent or whatever you watch. And someone gonged me this week and told me that they were not really feeling, I don't know, it was almost like a, you look great, but if I could change everything about you, I would. But you know what? There is critiques and criticisms, and I think that everyone is entitled to opinions. And I think that if you ask any artist or any creative about the opinions of others and what they do with it, more times than not, they'll let you know, like, opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got them and they all stink, and no one thinks theirs stinks. So whatever. Let's see. Rest in peace to the rapper Juice WRLD. He apparently passed away this morning in Chicago after suffering a seizure at Chicago Midway Airport. He was taken to a local hospital where he was still conscious, but then passed away. So rest in peace to him. He's very young. No word has been released yet as to how he passed or what was the cause of the seizure, but still nonetheless. You guys, first of all, can we talk a little bit? Remember that time that I told you guys that story about how I found someone's fiance on the Hinge, on the Dirty Girl app? Okay. Well, I have an update. It turns out, just as I suspected, now I don't remember if you recall, but I decided that I was not going to get involved too deeply in telling. Okay, let me recall the story. Let's recap, okay, shall we? So there I am on the Dirty Girl app, Hinge, becoming unhinged, and I'm swiping to the left, and then I see someone's fiance, and I'm like, fucking shit. So my dilemma then becomes, do I say something or do I just, do like Ray J and let it go? And so I decided that I was not going to get involved, only because I felt like me and this person, even though we are friendly, I didn't feel like it was my place to go to them and kind of drop this atomic bomb that, oh, your fiance is cheating. Well, good thing I didn't. Come to find out that they actually are swingers. Yes, they're open to having young, gentle ladies in the room with them. More to come on that in the setting of the table. But needless to say, I guess it wasn't that big of a deal because the person that I'm friends with from this relationship actually shared with me that she is, which I didn't know, but she is open to being with women, and she has had multiple threesome experiences with her fiance. So I'm just going to assume that this Hinge experience was just that, them having a playful experience and a little bit of a recruitment effort, don't you think? I mean, honestly, I feel like I'm going to teach you guys when we set the table a little bit about threesomes. But honestly, because not for nothing, but your girl has been getting a lot of propositions for threesomes. And I don't know why. I couldn't tell you what it is that I'm giving off, but I'm giving off some sort of stank that says, hey, I'm open to a menage a trois. But okay. So let's get into topping from the bottom. That is what we are calling this week's pop culture segment. Okay. So let's start with the real bottom of the barrel. George Zimmerman has filed a $100 million lawsuit against Trayvon Martin's family and their lawyer, prosecutor Benjamin Crump. He is alleging that there was some witness tampering, as far as one witness being called Chantel Jeffries, I believe her name is. I'm not, don't entirely quote me on that, but this was the young lady that Trayvon was on the phone with at the time of his murder. And George Zimmerman is basically saying that this witness was a false witness. Therefore, he is suing the family and the lawyers for $100 million. Now, the fact that our legal system would even allow for such frivolity is beyond me, but listen, here's what I'm going to say. You guys saw that homeboy Brother Nature got his ass fucked up this week in a Miami pizzeria, right? Now tell me where the justice is, where George Zimmerman is walking around free to breathe the air that we all breathe, free to walk the streets that the rest of humans get to walk. Help me understand how he can do that, but a man who just loves to be at one with nature and animals gets his ass beat up in a pizzeria. I don't get it. So apparently, if you have been following social media, yesterday Twitter was all a rage because Brother Nature, who is friends with my very dear friend, the dear Canela, got his ass beat up in a Miami pizzeria while everyone just kind of sat there and watched for the fuck of it. And, I guess did a little taping and a little videoing. And yeah, it was the oddest thing in the world. I'm sorry. A man who feeds and names deers is not someone that you could say like, oh, I beat him up and I'm, big and bad for that. He has a deer that's a friend named Canela. It's like beating up on Bambi. It doesn't make any sense. Now, apparently the altercation all stemmed from some sort of verbal exchange that took place in the pizzeria. Now, I'm not aware of, cause in the videotape, I am old, honey. In the video, you can see Brother Nature, having just a little conversation with a group of people who seem to be eating. And I couldn't really make out what he was saying too well. But as far as I'm concerned, it won't anything that merited him having to get his ass kicked and to get a cup of juice thrown on him. Now, I only saw that portion of the video, but apparently there was further beating up in the parking lot. And everyone was just looking. You know what makes me sad is that we live in a world where the prospect of becoming an internet sensation from videoing someone's mishap is far more important to people than stopping violence, especially violence that makes no sense whatsoever. It's senseless violence. So Brother Nature later posted, yes, that it was him in the video. And yes, he did get assaulted. I hope that he presses charges. Of course, the internet's wasted no time in finding out who this gentle sir was who put hands on Canela's friend. And I guess the streets are looking for him now. Brother Nature was seen posting a video live from Miami yesterday after said altercation with someone who looks to not be here for the shits. And I'm sure that Brother Nature will get his redemption on the streets where it belongs. In further fuckery, this week, Offset had his Twitter hacked. Did you guys see that? Yes. Mr. Set, his Twitter was hacked. The usual homophobic and no, it wasn't homophobic. He definitely had it was just some bullshit. You know what happens when your Twitter gets hacked and someone just kind of says whatever they want. So Cardi B decided to use her star power to get on Instagram and let the world know that, her man and her baby were just laid up in the bed minding their own business when they found out that their Twitter had been hacked. And she basically said, listen, you guys know what the tea is. You know that this nigga does a lot of stupid shit, but this ain't him. And so then the streets had a slight rebuttal when Snitchville's very own Tekashi 6ix9ine, his girlfriend Jade, posted a screen cap of a DM from Mr. Offset to her, basically saying, I miss you. And yeah. Now, first of all, if you recall, um Cardi has made it no secret